What's up, Star Wars fans? Let's review The Mandalorian Season 3, Chapter 24, The Return. That's right, the season finale of The Mandalorian Season 3. It's finally here, and what an episode it was. Not only was this chapter fast-paced and had a ton of action, but more importantly, it had a strong connection to that Star Wars theme of the importance of family. Whether it was Dinjar and Grogu and Bo-Katan working together as a family, or all the Mandalorians working together, this episode had a strong connection back to the original trilogy, where we see Luke, Leia, and Han working together as a family, and the Rebel Alliance in general coming together to overthrow the Empire. But that out of the way, let's break down this episode in more detail. Right away in this episode, we see Bo-Katan contacting Axe Wolves so that he can warn the fleet of the impending attack by the Imperials. And Axe comes up with a great plan, sending all the Mandalorians down to the surface to reinforce Bo-Katan, while he stays in their flagship, the Imperial cruiser, acting as a distraction to the TIE bombers and interceptors. Couple this with the fact that the Mandalorian Dinjar is able to escape his captors, with a little help from IG-12 and Grogu. It was great to see dad and son working together, and I absolutely love the moment when Dinjar asked him to be brave, because they're going after Moff Gideon. From here, we see the launch of the TIE interceptors and TIE bombers, and I love the fact that due to the atmospheric interference, the Imperial ships couldn't detect the Mandalorian ships, and they end up passing each other in the atmospheric disturbance. Can we also just take a moment to say that the ships in the space battles in Season 3 of The Mandalorian have been absolutely fantastic, especially after some wonky CGI in the Kenobi series. For me, the space battles and atmospheric dogfights were one of the best parts of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. From there, we move on to seeing Dinjar call down R5 to the Imperial Base, and he plays a really important role in helping Dinjar and Grogu navigate the Imperial Base, just like R2 would back in the original trilogy. And I gotta say, I just love the story arc of R5 in The Mandalorian Season 3. Remember in the beginning of the season, R5 didn't even want to get out of the Mandalorian ship and test the atmosphere on Mandalore, and here he is now infiltrating an Imperial base and being a true hero just like R2-D2. At this point, we see Dinjar and Grogu tracking down Moff Gideon, and Dinjar decides to go for it and assault the command center. Of course, this was a fun action-packed scene. I'm just not sure why there wasn't any reinforcements that showed up to help defend the command center, especially considering within the command center was something very dear to Moff Gideon, Force-sensitive clones of Gideon himself. And no doubt they were all going to be put into the Dark Trooper armor that Moff Gideon was wearing in the episode. And then at this moment, the fast-paced episode slows down, and we see some surface caves on Mandalore, and they have lush vegetation, giving us hope that if the Mandalorians are able to take back Mandalore, they can rebuild and sustain themselves on the planet. Again, connecting to one of those major Star Wars themes, the importance of hope. And fueled by this hope, Bo-Katan and her scouting party reunite with the main Mandalorian Force, and united together, the Night Owls and the Children of the Watch assault the Imperial Base. And can I say that this was an absolutely amazing moment. Not only do we get to see a full Mandalorian Force with their jetpacks attacking the Imperial Base, but the Imperials are also in jetpacks. I believe this is the first time we've ever seen anything like this in live-action Star Wars, and somehow Jon Favreau and crew were able to make this look just as good as any movie, making it one of my favorite parts of this season. From here, we get a face-off between Dinjar and Moff Gideon, and it doesn't go so well for poor Dinjar, not to mention the Praetorian Guard show up, which make matters even worse. Luckily, Bo-Katan comes to Dinjar's aid, and she takes on Gideon so that Dinjar and Grogu can take on the Praetorian Guard. It was nice to see that Bo-Katan definitely outskilled Gideon, and really the only thing that was holding him in that fight was his armor. I also absolutely love to see Grogu and Dinjar working together in a fight. That's something we never really got to see with Anakin and Luke in the original trilogy, so it's nice that we're getting to see that here in The Mandalorian. And it's at this point that we get a pretty big surprise. Axe Wolves has that Imperial cruiser crash landing into the Imperial base. He's signaling for all Mandalorians to leave the base, but unfortunately that little family of Grogu, Dinjar, and Bo-Katan can't make it out in time, time. And in what I thought was the most emotional part of this episode, we get little Grogu saving Mom and Dad using the Force to protect them from the explosion of the impact of the light cruiser. I absolutely love this scene because the whole reason that Bo-Katan and Dinjar are next to Grogu is because they're trying to protect him, and in the end, it's actually Grogu protecting all of them. It really drives home that Star Wars theme of the importance of family and sticking together. And talking about that theme of family, we also get to see Dinjar officially adopting Grogu. That's right, Grogu is now officially his son and a Mandalorian apprentice. And we also get to see an important moment for that Mandalorian family as Bo-Katan reignites the Forge. I thought this was a great way to cap off her story in this season as well. And then finally, seasons 4 and 5 are set up nicely as Dinjar is going to be working for Carson Teva and the New Republic. And I love how this season ends where it all began on Navarro, and we get a very Western scene where Mando and little Grogu are kicking their feet up on the homestead. But hey, Star Wars fans, that's all the time I got for my review today. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, I'm Mike, and remember, the Force will be with you always.